everyone, thanks for coming to November's staff meeting. Please help yourself to some snacks and coffee. I'd like to welcome two new colleagues, Mrs. Ginger and Miss Smith, to our school. The focus of today's meeting is building a culture of inquiry in our school. Mrs. Cole, our teacher librarian and resident inquiry expert, has a new book that she'd like to share with you to help get you started with inquiry-based learning in your classrooms. Please take it away, Mrs. Cole. Thanks, Mrs. Potts. I attended a workshop last week that gave me great ideas about how to become familiar with inquiry-based learning, which we know can be quite overwhelming for both new and experienced teachers. I picked up a few resources for the library, and I'd like to share one of them with you today. Presenting Franklin in the Dark about inquiry-based learning. Franklin the Turtle got a job teaching at Growing Minds Elementary this year. In his previous school, he planned excellent units of study all by himself. He could find activities to teach specific outcomes in the curriculum. He could even make unit tests that measured how well students understood the content at the end of a unit of study. But Franklin was afraid of inquiry-based learning, and that was a problem, because this year Franklin moved to a new school that has a long-standing culture of inquiry. He was afraid he might not be good at teaching this way. And so Franklin the Turtle went for a walk down his new school hallways to see if he could find some help. Franklin went down the hallway. He walked until he met Rabbit.
Excuse me, Rabbit. I'm afraid of inquiry-based learning, and I am not sure where to start. Can you help me?
Maybe,
replied Rabbit.
You see, I too was afraid of inquiry-based learning, but then someone told me to start small with mini inquiries. Sometimes when nobody is watching, I read Chapter 8 of this Inquiry Circles in Action book by Stephanie Harvey and Harvey Daniels. There are excellent examples in the book that help me think about how mini inquiry could work in my classroom. Would you like to borrow a copy?
Sure,
said Franklin.
That would give me a place to start.
Franklin kept walking down the hall until he met Snail.
Excuse me, Snail. I'm afraid of inquiry-based learning, and I am not sure where to start. Can you help me?
Maybe,
responded Snail.
You see, I am new to inquiry-based learning too. Last week, I visited Goose to observe her class while they were working on an inquiry project. Goose told me that I need to teach collaboration skills to my students so that our classroom is a friendly, supportive environment. She suggested I start modeling collaboration in my class, and she said I should teach the class some ideas like be responsible to your group, listen actively, support your views and findings, and show tolerance and respect for everyone. We even made an anchor chart that shows what this behavior looks like. Then she gave me tips and advice on creating formative assessment opportunities for inquiry. Goose reminded me that when I do formative assessment, it will help me plan what I need to teach next as a mini lesson. Sometimes, when nobody's looking, I look at the notes I took during that observation. Would you like me to introduce you to Goose tomorrow, and we can see if there is a time that you can observe in her class too?
Yes, please,
said Franklin.
I would love to see inquiry-based learning in action.
Franklin loved how nice his new colleagues were being. They seemed so willing to share, but he still felt unsure of how to teach inquiry-based learning. So he walked and walked and walked until he met Beaver.
Excuse me, Beaver. I'm afraid of inquiry-based learning, and I am not sure where to start. Can you help me?
Maybe,
smiled Beaver.
I used to be afraid of inquiry learning when I first transferred to this school too. Luckily, I had an awesome grade level partner that took me under her wing and we planned a mini inquiry unit together. Sometimes, when nobody's looking, I look back on those plans to see what I can use in the new inquiries I am currently working on. She also showed me how to encourage questioning by posting a wonder wall in our classroom. When kids have a question or a wonder, they write it on the wonder wall. Every Wednesday, in the last half hour of the day, we try to research those questions and find some answers. Actually, we teach the same grade too. Would planning a mini inquiry with me help you? Would you like me to help you set up a wonder wall too?
Yes,
said Franklin.
I think that would really help me feel better about where I am going first.
Franklin kept walking down the hall and he ran into Fox, and he asked him if he could help too.
Hi, Fox. I'm afraid of inquiry-based learning, and I am not sure how I will evaluate my class after we do inquiry. Can you help me? Maybe.
said Fox slyly.
You see, I was afraid of inquiry learning when I started it 4 years ago. I know that I need to teach, assess, teach, and assess until they were done. Then, when they were finished their inquiry project, I would look for demonstration of their understanding. I used work samples, artifacts, student talk, and their class blogs to help me evaluate their progress. Sometimes, when nobody was looking, I would look through their portfolios and see how far they had come in their learning. If you came and saw some of my students' portfolios, would that help you? Yes,
said Franklin.
I think then I would understand how to evaluate their demonstration of learning.
Franklin was walking back to his class when he ran into Bear, and he asked him if he could help too.
Hi, Bear. I'm afraid of inquiry-based learning, and I am not sure where to start. I would ask you to help me, but I have so many people offering to help already, and I am feeling a bit overwhelmed.
I get it.
Growled the bear.
You see, I was afraid of inquiry learning when I started it 5 years ago. Sometimes, when nobody was looking, I would cry when my plans did not go the way I thought they would, or if I was feeling stressed about it all. Take it slow and remember inquiry-based learning feels messy at first. We have all been in the same place as you at one time. Everyone has to start somewhere. Why don't you stop at the library and talk to Owl? She comes into my class all the time to help me with inquiry. My door is always open when you need to talk or bounce an idea off someone. Does that help you?
Yes,
said Franklin.
I think with everyone's help, I can do it.
Franklin stopped at the library and saw Owl.
Hi, Owl. Bear told me to come and talk to you. I am afraid of inquiry learning, but I have talked to the staff and I think I am going to start with a mini inquiry. What do you think?
A fine place to start.
Hooted Owl.
I will come into your class and we will work together on this. I have so many ideas I would like to share with you, and we can see what works. I always look forward to collaborating with teaching staff on inquiry projects that develop students' information literacy skills. The mission of the Growing Minds Elementary School Library is to provide the school community with a wide range of resources that support inquiry learning and foster a love of reading and literature. I look forward to working with you, Franklin. We are lucky to have you join our staff.
Franklin was tired and hungry, so he packed up his things and went over to his mother's house for supper. Oh, Franklin, I was so afraid you were not going to make it here for supper tonight. You have been working such late hours at your new job this year,
You were afraid? I didn't know mothers were ever afraid,
said Franklin. Well, did you find some help? Franklin's mother asked.
Yes, I met a rabbit who was afraid of inquiry-based learning at first too.
She said.
Then I met a snail who was afraid of inquiry-based learning, and he is new to it too.
Oh, she said.
And then I met a beaver and a fox and a bear who were all also afraid of inquiry-based learning before. Finally, I met Owl, the librarian who is going to teach with me.
Oh, she said. They were all afraid of inquiry-based learning at one point? Said Franklin. It was getting late. Franklin was very tired, but full after eating supper at his mom's house. He headed home. Well, Franklin knew what he had to do. He crawled inside his small dark shell and got a good night's rest so he would be ready for the next day of school. He was sure it wouldn't be easy, but he had joined a good team. He would not have to be brave alone. And then it didn't matter to him if people were looking. When Franklin needed help, he would go down the halls of Growing Minds Elementary and ask his personal learning network. He knew he had tons of support. I hope Franklin in the Dark About Inquiry-Based Learning can be a useful resource for our staff in building a culture of inquiry in our school. Inquiry is not something to be afraid of, but it will take work, time, and collaboration. Remember, you are not alone, and by working together, we can plant the seeds of lifelong learners. If Franklin can do it, we can too.